On down.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Shadwoe and the Sun show. The name is misspelled here. But hello.
How you guys doing?
Good.
Hi. Good.
Hey, Shadow.
Thanks for
Jack,
having
Hey,
us.
how's it
Hungar.
going?
Oh, you know what? I've been wanting you guys to do this for a little while. Nice, Hungar. Welcome to the show, brother. Say hi to Hungar.
I was the first person to say hi to him.
Oh, I didn't hear you. Oh, you just spoke into my good ear.
You don't have any of this.
Yeah, I know. They're both.
Hey,
very-
Hungar. Hello.
Folks, we're here to help George and Dave celebrate their successful first Kickstarter for the Arduin map set. Uh, as far as I can tell, it looks like it went off more or less without a hitch. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how that went?
Wow, I'll tell you what, it was quite a bit of, as anything, a ton of work with a lot of great people to help us, Shadow. So there was a lot of work, a lot of build up to produce everything. I know we've talked before, we talked about how the maps, how long it took those, to get everything together for the Arduin map, all the work Dave put into it, Quentin, William Watt, even Jackie with all the different flags, for all the nations on the continent map.
Yes, make one more though now.
Yeah, yeah.
Wait, why?
Let's do that because he says, "Well, why?"
Oh,
Just so you folks at home will notice,
Yep.
this is the Arduin map index that you get with the Kickstarter that has all the locations of all the locations on the maps. And George and Dave were kind enough to give Jackie and I a little piece of real estate, place called Shadow and Sons Mountains, uh, coordinates B04 on the Arduin map. You can look it up. But not just us, but there's another couple of folks over here. Let's see if I can find it. What does that say?
ooh.
Tenkar's Tavern. Uh, it's a point of interest on coordinate 005, also on the map of Arduin. I don't know if have they spotted that yet. Has Eric and Rach seen that yet?
I thought we mentioned it to him, but
Yep.
I can't be positive. There were a bunch of things in there that we did for thank you to anybody who's helped us out along the way here.
Are there any other folks
There's a
I
bunch
might
of them
know?
in there.
Yeah. There's a bunch in there that Dave kind of snuck in. We decided to, put a bunch of different people that we know or to pay homage to people. We did put them in. So there's
Hey,
sneakily
Raven.
a few different things in those 13.
I'll have to go through it with a fine tooth comb and see if I can
Yeah.
figure them out. But now we've got real estate. You know what that means, right?
What does that mean?
We have to start annexing other locations on the map. Listen to them laugh. They think I'm just joking around.
Yeah.
Uh,
Start annexing a lot of stuff. So
we,
no, that
you know, I hate to say this, but you might have to draw another map.
We just might.
we just might have to. Yeah. Don't give Dave any more ideas. So he's already going on
Can you picture
about
that?
more
It's
maps.
all- and just for the record, it's if the map was the United States, it'd be right in California.
Wait, the whole map that I did flags for?
Yeah, well, no.
Location-wise.
It's in the
It's all
bigger
about
map.
location.
But
Yeah.
we've got a nice little mountain range to start from. Good luck
Yeah.
assailing that without flyers. Just saying. Yeah, you need Hungar's brothel.
Indeed.
Do they though?
Well, or at least
Something Hungar, but you know.
Well, you never know. I mean, we'll have a lot more coming. So there'll be a lot of opportunity between more maps and more modules and more places to stick on there. So we'll always have room to actually add more to the maps as we go here. I mean, we have like I said, don't say maps to Dave because we already have some other maps already in the works that are near completion for some of the other countries, some of the other places and islands. So there's
Awesome.
always more to come as far as maps go. Even other important locations in Arduin. So there is more where this has come from, which is great. This was, like I said, our first dive shadow into Kickstarter. It was a lot of good experience that we got from this. Again, a lot of great people, a lot of the internal team that helped us to get there. Just a ton of work, years of work to actually get to this point where we're like, okay, let's try this Kickstarter, give it a shot. And we are happy with how things ended. It is great.
Yeah.
For a first Kickstarter, 18,500 plus, as far as money goes, which our goal was only 7,000. So
Hmm.
we're almost triple where we were at, as a funding goal. And again, it's a lot of great people. I think we had 121 backers that were there, and we had a lot of great people like yourself, OGGM, RPG Grandma. Uh, we have to say, just Eric and Mike, and then a Glenn
Hmm.
from there. Were just great.
Hmm.
Even James Melcheski from Gogardia, gave us a shout out. Yeah, and there was a lot of people. Don't let me forget all the people who pledged, all the fans.
Right.
And we want you all to know we did see it. We know you were sharing. You were, sharing on your blogs. You were sharing all over the place on X, on X on over at MeWe. There's a group there. There was other, people going out to different websites. You were all over the place on social media. So I know, Mastodon, I think was another place that they were there. I'm probably forgetting a couple, but
Venture.
yeah, exactly. There was a lot of people who really did a lot, so we
That was a
appreciate it.
lot of reason we added the extra set of maps so you could have a useful map and a collector's version.
Yeah,
So
and I have to say, got to give a real special shout out to Griff Morgan. He's
Griff,
with the Lord of Things is his company with Chris, I believe, is his business partner, and they did the Secrets of Blackmore, the whole documentary. They came out with some books recently. One was the history of D&D from Dave Arneson's viewpoint, and they also had the Dungeons of you're going to have to excuse me, Tossenberg, and a few other things. But Griff and Chris, they're excellent guys, great company. They did a lot to promote us and to push us. So we were eternally thankful for everything that Griff has done to help us and push. But
yeah,
there was
he's
a lot.
been fantastic.
Yeah, nothing short of fantastic. And people like yourself, Shadow, you and Jackie, you've been there since the beginning with us, and we truly appreciate that. And again,
Less.
whole internal team, which you guys are familiar with, the whole internal
Yep.
playtest crew, which includes our writers and our art people, everybody. They're just tremendous. So it's a labor of love, like we've always said. And the Kickstarter was great. It was successful. We were really amazed by how many add-ons, the books, new people, the new names we saw that pledged,
It was
and then
great seeing the old names too.
yeah. Oh, yeah. We still had the old crew there too, there to help us. Don't get me wrong, but it was great seeing all the new names too that came and they bought Arduin books to see, what Arduin was about. So that was amazing. So a lot new, fresh faces coming on board, which is always good. We want to grow. We want to bring the Arduin experience to as many people as possible. And again, we're trying to give you guys a quality product, a good product, something that you'll enjoy
That
for
is
life.
the quality, of the paper, the art, everything is. No one's doing it better. I can guarantee you that right now, unless they're, putting it on steel or fabric. You know, it's not happening. As a matter of fact, a lot of
Appreciate
the
it.
other products I've seen are, you know, just it's just not as good. The quality's not there, or it's just like at standard level. And especially looking at like I have the original old parchment map, The new stuff is all at least better or right there at the same level. Like parchment is kind of an iffy material to work with, and
Correct.
hopefully there won't be any issues with that because I've seen you know issues with what do they call it, bleeds and leaks and smears and things like that. But I don't think there's going to be any of that with this.
God, I hope not. I don't think there will be though.
The map index is very reminiscent of the original digest books, but you know, kick it up a couple of notches, and that's what you're looking at here.
It's like you said, Shadow. We decided to take it up a notch with everything in the Kickstarter, and I'm just gonna, Shadow has it there, but just to show like our packaging, the special pouch that the index.
What happened to George?
He paused.
He's been taken out.
I guess he's going to have to log back in. Real quick before I jump all over and take over for George, if that's the case, you were looking for another little nugget that might be on the map. And since George was giving the shout out there to Griff, if you look in the upper right, the northeast section of the map, there is Archduke Griff's Who Does. So there's another little nugget for you to find that are in line with the Shadow and Sun Mountain Range.
Yeah.
No. So I have competition, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Except he's in the northeast. You're in the southwest.
Yeah.
We'll meet in the middle and divvy it up there.
Yeah. Cool. Was everything okay with the video? Was I still going? Or
you were frozen solid.
Oh, it cut me off. Okay. Yeah. No, I was just telling people about the packaging, that we decided to even make the packaging a work of art, the Vampusa. And I was just telling people, this up here seals, but it's not a permanent seal. You don't have to cut this, just so you know.
Unless we seal it, which for retail we probably will.
Yeah. But we're not going to seal it when you get it in the Kickstarter. This can come apart, so that you can get to everything in there. So we just wanted to make sure, with everybody. And again, homage, here's an Earl Lotus drawing from the first volume of the Grimoire. Take a look underneath. We've got little Easter eggs that are put in the packaging. And like you said, Shadow, with the book, and again, just highlighting it, look at the quality. You got that awesome, stitch bound, the feel, it, Shadow, the feel of the book, how it feels, the coloration. I mean, they're just, these are just cool. For us, we want to make stuff that we would enjoy too, like something like, okay, this is a cool book. This is something I would
not just cool, but it's got to be durable.
Yeah,
I mean, it's gonna get used and abused at the gaming table. Maybe not, the index so much, but stuff like that. When you're playing and you need to pull this stuff out, or the maps, you don't want that cheap poster paper. You know what I mean?
Correct.
That was one thing I was worried about when I was taking the maps out. It was like one false move and I'm going to pull a chunk out. And I was like, there was no chance of that, especially now in the proper tubes.
Yeah. Wow.
That's strong.
Yeah. The parchment is really nice because it has that texture, that feel, and it also has that strength to it too. So it's a combination of everything. And we felt, as an ode to the old original Arduin map that we did 20 years ago, so to speak, give or take, we're like, why not stick with the parchment? And we just feel like it feels like a map. When you roll those out, you feel like you're rolling a map on the table. And funny you should say that, Shadow, of course. I mean, I don't know how you could go wrong with this, with a freaking tube as cool as this. I mean, it was the response on the tubes was amazing too. With the foil, with everything.
I'll give you a sense of scale on the old one that you haven't gotten.
Jackie was,
Yeah, exactly. I've got the original tube right there
It fits
next
right
to.
inside.
Yeah. And the size is perfect, just like Dave showed. Our original, which wasn't meant to be a piece of art or anything, was just a 2-inch diameter smaller, just really for functional purposes. But then we're like, let's step it up. Let's make something a little bit bigger that has a nice look and feel to it. So it was like, let's step up with everything with the packaging. So again, it's not only the book and the maps, it's the packaging it comes in, the tube. Everything is a great presentation as far as we're concerned. And again,
And it's gotta last.
yeah,
My original Arduin map, I've had it since shortly after it was printed,
yeah.
and it those things. Now the next Kickstarter has got to be a Kickstarter of picture frames. Um,
Exactly.
they say Arduin and little doodads on the corners or something.
Yeah, that would be
'Cause
pretty
that's the
cool. Some little
only
dragons or something.
Yeah.
because that's I want to hang them on the walls, but finding frames is just it's not
Oh,
easy. So
we could go real crazy. Wood, and then we have pewter casted, like Dave said,
ooh,
dragons and all that. But oh boy, you talk about an expensive Kickstarter. That would be neat to do something like that. So you never know. I mean, we're always the one thing I'll have to say too with us, with the great people that we have involved with, and Dave and I, we're always constantly talking about ideas, and we've always have something on the back burner, always something, numerous fires going on at the same time, and we're always exploring new avenues. Or what about this? Is this possible? What can we do to improve? And that was the whole point of this with the maps, was again another step up. Let's take a step up. Let's go to
there's
a
there's
certain level.
really not much left. There's not much room for improvement. You guys have nailed it with the maps.
Yeah,
Uh,
Thank you.
thank
Other
you.
than more foil or something like that, and even then, I worry that the foil might peel. Because it's an additive as opposed
Yeah,
to So I wouldn't worry about that. But I can't wait to get them up. I'm just not sure where. I mean, half of them are going to have to go in his room. Got to put one over the fireplace.
Someone's not gonna like that.
Yeah, well, it's uh, too damn bad. I'll just put the ones with your name on it over the fireplace so nobody can say anything. It's like, hey, you know. But believe it or not, little guy has to get to piano class. So don't you say your
Goodbye.
fellows? Yes.
Yes.
You might have to ask Hungar what that shirt is before you bail.
Oh, Hungar's got his own brand of
Oh.
T-shirts. Hungar the Starvarian shirts. I'll try to get you guys the link. And he made a new one, but Jackie also won a painting contest to paint the Hungar the Starvarian miniature, which maybe we could send you one and you could get it cast so that there could be a
A metal hunger out there.
yes.
All right.
I was thinking that there should be like a statue of Hungar on the map somewhere.
Yep. Where is it?
awesome.
I'll show you real quick. Here's a larger version of it. This is what Jackie he won the contest for painting this one.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
very nice.
And our friend a Nerd's Nerd, she did the 3D render and it's perfect. It's Hungar to a T, and I've got a smaller one here in 28 mil. It's the same
Right.
identical thing, just 3D,
Scaled
shrunk.
down.
So say goodbye.
Chewie.
Oh, you're gonna say bring Chewie into the show?
It doesn't need to jump up.
And then,
That's awesome.
but and he's sending Jackie the prize. It's supposed to be a surprise, but
Yeah.
it'll be a surprise because he'll forget about it, and
Yeah,
then, then I'll throw it at him and it's like, hey, you got something in the mail.
That's awesome. But
Speaking of shirts, you got any new Arduin shirt designs coming up?
Maybe.
yeah. We're on working on that. Take it easy, Jackie.
Take it
Thanks.
easy. Bye.
Bye.
Well, because I know a guy who knows a guy who made Hungar shirts, so maybe we could work something out. Because I'm telling you, you put an Arduin Frank T-shirt, or even a Funky Frank Pale Ale shirt. Just saying those.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
just not too pleased with the people we were using.
Yeah.
Are
We are
you using
looking at
Teespring?
No,
No,
we were using local people.
local.
Mm.
We had a
So
couple different places. And then I think we used one out in California. We did 3 different people.
All right, we
Yeah.
have Hungar's permission to immortalize him in metal instead of resin. There you go.
Nice.
I'm gonna leave that on the screen for legal purposes, so so his family estate doesn't come after you years from now.
Yeah.
Saying, "Hey, we want nope, nope, nope." I'm sure they would never do such a thing, and I'm sure it would make Hungar's day to see a nice,
Absolutely. We'll have to coordinate on that. Absolutely. Yeah, shirt. And just so you know, shirts is one thing, Shadow, that a couple people have asked about. So we are looking
Okay.
to see what we can do. So there is a possibility we might have some new shirts coming up. So again, like I said, there's always ideas, always things that we're looking at to do, and like, oh, how can we do something else? And like you said, if we can't improve the maps, then how can we improve other things, or what's some new ideas that we can present that are
That's a great idea, Fernando. With the OG Arduin Grimoire art, yes, absolutely. Yeah, I would wear my Charger the Castrator shirt with pride.
that would be a heck of a shirt.
You haven't seen Hungar's shirts yet, have you? Just saying. There's a couple that are not safe for work, but it's all in good fun. Nothing too demeaning, right, Hungar?
No, that's
Let us
awesome.
see. We know you're rolling in the greenbacks. He just doesn't want everybody to know, but I know a guy, and
No, that's
do a
awesome. But
little
yeah,
digging.
definitely shirts is something we're going to look into. So that's on deck for things. I mean, with as far as getting back to the Kickstarter, now that we've kind of gone through the process, gone through everything, we're still waiting for Kickstarter to finalize things. We believe in the next few days, everything should be settled with Kickstarter. And once that happens, that'll give us the opportunity to send out the survey, send out the emails to everybody to, you know, uh, get the addresses confirmed, get everybody's information confirmed and the addresses, and then we're just waiting on one last item. Once it gets here, we will be ready to roll. So if everything goes right, and again, we always put the caveat, unless there's some X factor that we're not anticipating,
Mhm.
we're on track to ship on time, I should say, or even pre. And that means, again, we should be able to ship by the end of the month within the next 2 weeks. So if everything's good and we get the last item we need, we should be ready to go. And Kickstarter does its thing. That's actually what we're waiting for above all, is Kickstarter to finalize, which I believe it has, but it's going to take a few more days. So again, barring any X factor, everybody, we should be able to get shipments going within 2 weeks. So by the end of August is
Yeah, the last thing we're waiting on are those tubes in Kickstarter, and I think the tubes are going to beat Kickstarter.
So basically, all the backers will have their pledges minus the add-ons, or including the add-ons.
including the add-ons.
Oh, that's stellar. That's stellar.
You're gonna get your full Kickstarter, all the stretch goals, and your add-ons. We should be able to ship everything by the end of the month. Like Dave said, we're just waiting for the tubes, which should be here shortly, should be here soon. We're
I could be wrong, but I don't know of a Kickstarter that's ever done that. Every Kickstarter, every backer it, every game found, every Indiegogo, everything I've ever backed, which is not, it's been a few, maybe 40 or 50 now. I have yet to see one that, exactly, Fernando, that has such an amazing turnaround. Not waiting a couple of months or 6 months or a year, or in some cases Robotech, 4, 5, 6 years. This is like, boom, this is like the equivalent of the old 6 to 8 weeks shipping and handling,
Yeah.
from Battle Creek, Michigan back in the day.
Right.
This is like just boom. Hey, what's up, Justin? And that's the T-shirt guy I was talking about. He can show you guys or somebody how to, go to Teespring, make your own shirts, and just have them,
Cool.
more or less like a print-on-demand thing, right, Justin? As opposed to, working with somebody who's sure, obviously, these guys are going to make some money, but
Yeah.
I don't know what the percentages are, but um, I'll steer him your direction, and maybe you can.
Yeah, I don't even think we're
Right.
that interested in making money on T-shirts.
That's quicker than Justin in bed.
Yeah.
Dear God.
No, absolutely. Well, yeah, the quick turnaround is something we talked about before, Shadow, and it's like, we want to continue with that promise that we said that, again, we invested in the product beforehand. So before anybody spent a penny, we had invested thousands and thousands into the product. So the benefit of that is once we're ready to go, we're ready to go, we're shipping. You're not going to wait, like you said, 6 months, 8 months, a year, none of that garbage. You're gonna be getting your stuff literally within a 6 week period, give or take.
What's up, Mark?
The end of the Kickstarter.
Howdy.
So, hey guys, so we're proud about that. And again, we don't see a problem right now. Looks like we're right on target, which makes us happy that we're there, and we can't wait to get everything in everybody's hands so they can actually see it firsthand, because it's easy to show it, but it's not like when you have it in your hands and it's right there. It's hard to describe what it's like, how good quality it is. So no, we're happy with this, and we're happy to be able to get it out to everyone this quick. So
Yeah, and trust me, guys, when you get your Kickstarter in your hot little hands, okay, Mark. Oh, you guys are really going to want to get them up on the wall as soon as possible. Each and every one of them, you'll want to convert an entire room to your Arduin map room, because they're perfect. And they, growing up as a kid, I had maps of Middle Earth, Hyboria, and of course, Greyhawk, and then later other game stuff, and then eventually my own maps took up the wall. Nice, Justin. You're going to want them up on the wall, and with this Kickstarter, you'll be able to have them, at your place on the wall, and then if you want to take them with you in the cool tube to your local gaming store or your friend's house, um, you'll be able to take them with you. Now we just got to come up with um, like a sling, you know what I mean? So you can carry the tube on your back like a quiver.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Out arrows, or you can still put arrows in there. That's the cool thing, You can put your markers, your dry erase board. You could probably even actually also fit your roll-up dry erase mat
yep.
and take it
You
all
can
with
put your
you.
dice
And
in there. It's 2.5 inches diameter, so you can fit quite a bit of stuff in there, easily, without an issue. And one thing about the maps too, especially the Arduin map with 1,300 plus locations and names, it's an interactive map. And what I mean is, when you have it on the wall, you're going to always be discovering something new on the map. So it's not like it's a one shot where once you see it, that's it. So it's always good.
there's even a little extra room at the top.
Yes, that was done on purpose. Yep.
little tiny attentions to detail like that really make a big difference when it comes to something like this. And then if for for some reason you can't put it on the wall, your friends are going to come over and go, "What the heck is that?" You know,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's got to be something cool inside
Yeah.
just
No,
by the artwork alone. It looks, it reminds me of the packaging for several choice bottles I've received over the years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
yeah. No, it's cool. A lot of attention to detail was put in that shadow. Like you see, you only have the one sleeve, so everything else is sealed, so it protects it. You don't have like the other tubes where they have caps on either end. So the quality, like I said, it puts us at a different level, and that was one of the goals, was to just put ourselves at a different level as far as quality with the product. And that means a lot. And again, people are giving their money. So we're like, let's give them something, that they're going to enjoy and it's well worth it. And again, it's stuff, Shadow, we'd want. We don't want to produce something that, who the heck wants to produce a book or a map or anything, a game product that you wouldn't enjoy? What's the sense? So we're going to.
Back in the day, like when the hobby first came around, uh, I'll be the first to admit the quality was the barest of minimums. You know what I mean? The modules, maybe not the hardback books. I'll give them a little break there. But then they started out good, and then they became really really bad with
Yeah.
at least TSR. But like the modules and things like that, they were just they were made like the pulp magazines. They were it was almost as if they were made to be thrown away when you were done.
Yeah.
The old modules were just awful. They don't stand up to the test of time. Some of the older books don't stand up,
Yeah, that.
and
The quality's definitely gone up on
Yeah.
manufacturing.
as a longtime collector and fan of the oldest of the old RPGs, when they're gone, they're gone. Unless you can find a place that will make you a reprint. The Arduin stuff is going to be around long after a lot of this other stuff is turned to dust.
Yeah. Well, quality was one of the things for us. Like you said, too many of the old books, the Unearthed Arcanas, some of the old DM guides, Player's Handbook, they just.
Oriental Adventures and other Unearthed Arcana, both of mine fell apart within 6 months, whereas I've still got players' handbooks that are still kicking strong. And
Yeah.
When you guys put out Arduin Bloody Arduin, are we going to get a hardback?
Yes. Yes.
That's the
All right,
goal.
all right.
That's a goal. We're looking
And this
again.
helps fund it. I mean,
Yeah. Again, we're looking when we go to that. That's going to be our big Kickstarter for hopefully late 2025. I mean, our vision is again 3 books for the core rules. You're looking at a player's grimoire, a GM grimoire, and a monster grimoire, and you're looking at 8.5 by 11, full cover, full color book and black and white, hardcover, and hopefully a stitch. I believe stitch bound, right, Dave? Is what we're looking
that's
at.
what we're looking at.
Does that mean you're going to have like an all black and white edition, or like a color mixed with black and white?
Mixed black and white.
Okay.
Black and white in color, I should
Okay.
say. Yeah, it's going to be a mixture. Is our thought is to do both, and we didn't want to get into any addition stuff like all color and this version's all black and white. We're to be honest, we're really not fans of how do I say this? Like different covers and different colors.
Mhm.
You know what? We want to give you the best we can once, and you have the rules. You have the core of the books. And
Yeah, and all that is either based on fear of missing out, that whole nonsense, the collected all thing, or more importantly, it's just going to be a distraction from you guys taking away from having to organize this versus that. Just
Yeah.
do the one thing, get it done, move on to the next one, move on to the next one, and then we can start
Yeah, I
playing
mean, we
some
could do it
actual.
easily. It's just right now, it's definitely not on our radar to do.
Yeah. It goes to your point, Shadow. Why waste the time doing it? And like Dave said, we could. I would rather come out with the Arduin Gazetteer. I'd rather
Mhm,
come out with this module, that module, all
mhm.
the different adventures. Maybe the 21 Planes of Hell Gazetteer. There's so many more things in Arduin we can develop and present to people that are cool products to use either in Arduin or as part of your own homebrew world. So I'd rather take the time to produce new material, new good material than to just rehash a book's cover, so to speak,
Mhm.
over and over. Let's move on. Um, I mean, the only thing I'll say with the three core books, we may come out with one other book, and I've said this before, kind of like an Unearthed Arcana, where it might catch up races, classes, might have other things.
Any of the stuff that you come up between now and then.
Yeah, or the stuff we couldn't fit in or just couldn't get in. We have 25 races. We probably could have done another 10 races to be complete with all the rest of the Arduin stuff, but it's like we just couldn't fit everything in. So, we'll get to the other races that are out there,
Mhm.
that, the Taziki,
Red Dwarf.
the Red Dwarves. What are the Ratmen again? Oh my God, I forgot the name. They're on the back of the picture on the back of the
Oh,
Arduin Mac index. I forgot the name of them.
Medicus.
Yeah, the Scaratus, is it the Scaratus? Yeah, Scaratus. Yeah, those are them. Those are the Ratmen. I think they're from the fifth continent, but through the Great Worm Road, they've made their way into Arduin too and other parts of the planet. So, but there's other races that Dave Hargrave had in there, but we just couldn't fit them in. But of course, we had to get the major ones that people know: the Fraints, the Deodants, the Thrune, the Sarigs, and all the others. The Uriks and all the ones, the Noblins, the Centaurs, the Amazon. All the ones that were Arduin from the beginning. So 25 races. I mean, my
If you can't
yeah,
find something, um, there's something wrong with you. It's not
yeah,
the game.
yeah,
There's got to be something uh, that just a once over. You are going to have uh, like a lineup of the races, like a picture where you can kind of get that idea. Remember in the old player's handbook, it has that picture of the elf and the orc, or the elf, the half orc, the dwarf, the gnome, the human all together, so you can get a kind of proportionate page. If you have a couple of images like that, or a big lineup, where you can see all of them together, or if not, then just a an image, for each section, for each
we
race.
we with the 25 races, we have pictures of every race. There's pictures, possibly multiples of each race. So every race is going to have its own
So
picture.
so so the lay person, if you will, can pick it up and just look and go, oh, I want to run one of those guys. Those guys look
Yeah.
badass.
Yep.
All right, read the page.
1 to 2 for every race minimum
Okay.
will be in the player's grimoire. Um, there's 20 classes right now, and there's a couple classes we didn't get to because again we have to figure out some things with them, and they're more
Right.
classes that take a little more thought process into it, how we're going to develop it. But that'll be
And you don't want to make the game around the class. It's got to be the other way around. So if you make the game, that'll just uh, you know
correct.
make it'll be like, if you're going to be this, it's got to be run like this, because this is all the
Correct. Yeah,
the way the world works.
Right.
You
exactly.
can't have, like, you know the whiz bang character class break all the rules and need special rules, and then next thing you know, everybody's running drow versions of this because it's the best thing.
Yeah,
And
exactly. No, you hit it on the head, Shadow. We 20 classes is going to give you more than enough. Um, half, give or take, half of those are spell casting classes. The other half are, it's the four groups that everyone's off of. You have warrior, thief, priest, and mage. Everything else falls under those. So you're going to have a good selection. Some of the classes give you different
it's funny
options.
how that works. You know what I mean? Throughout, well, since the beginning, I always looked at it also like the suits of either the tarot deck or the playing cards. You know, you've got which allows you to actually use a regular deck of playing cards as a random NPC generator.
Correct. Correct.
You know what I mean? You pull out you know a card, and that'll tell you the profession, the level, and maybe a little more depending on how you work it out. Uh, and it's still held strong since 1973, 74, all the way up to now.
Yeah.
That there's really, you can really just narrow everything down to the four food groups
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
Which
monsters.
is, yeah. And you have variations, like you said, Shadow with the four food groups, but it's pretty much going to fall within those. And again, um, when you look at a lot of different gaming, I know people like all the subclasses, all this other stuff that goes into left field, right field. But to
Or
tell
the
you
kits
the truth,
from second edition.
yeah, the problem is when you get too out of whack with so far, that's when you have trouble with your system, with your engine, because it's easy, like you said, Shadow. Then you have classes that just start breaking things, or it's too much. Or we don't want to have a system where you're the fantasy superhero. Oh, I'm a fighter, mage, thief, monk, rune weaver, druid. It's like, what? It just, to me, that, I'm sorry, to me that gets ridiculous.
Well,
Absolutely ridiculous.
devil's advocate, or justifying my own committing of such crimes. When you're playing that 15-year long campaign, um, get back to me. But for the average gamer who's going to play for a year, if they're lucky, that character or in that campaign, you've gotta have some boundaries. And if
Right.
the players earn the right to touch the edges of those boundaries, then maybe they can earn the way past them. But before that, you've got to have those walls set up. Uh, Otherwise, you end up breaking the system without even trying it on for size.
Well, to me, what it does even more so, Shadow, when you're the all-encompassing, I got everything I need. I forgot to add priest in there so I can heal myself. When you can do everything, what's the sense of teamwork? It breaks it breaks everything that was foundational from the beginning of everything, even comic books, to be honest. Even the superheroes had to work as teams. But if you're a
Sure.
superhero that doesn't need anything,
Mhm.
what's the fun in that? If I can do everything, what's the sense of having a magic item? Because I got 35 feats that allow me to do this and this. It
Mhm.
negates the it's a weird philosophy that we don't agree with, because, and I'm not saying that you can't have everything. If your character is a character, he's a special. He is naturally gonna be heroic in a
Yeah,
sense.
I would
Yeah,
never, I would
yeah.
never, I would never launch a character into the world right out of the
Mhm.
gates, being able to do it all. That's like Fernando said. That's either a video game or a one-on-one game where it's the
Yeah,
dungeon master and one player. Which, believe it or not,
right,
that is a thing. A lot of times, I
right.
knew people. That's all they could do. It was like there was one GM and one guy wanted to play, and they're like, okay, and then you have to do that. Or if it's a character in a novel or something like that,
Yeah.
but you absolutely have to make it like a team sport. You have to
Yeah,
go into it as a team sport or
correct.
team activity, and in which case, you might have a quarterback, but you put that quarterback on the field by himself, the other team is just gonna, the other team being the monsters, he's gonna spend most of his life running, not passing.
Correct. Correct. So it's that whole team mentality, which I think is the whole fun of the game. And again, you can have situations where you only have one or two, players, but the whole aspect of the game is teamwork and the social
Mhm.
aspect of it. With playing with other 3, 4 other players, and you're a team, and you have the game master running it. So that's more our philosophy is the teamwork. The camaraderie of going through a campaign, playing as characters with the ups and downs. And it doesn't mean you can't do something like that if you really want to, but I think it's a lot less fun. And like Fernando, I saw he had there, it is like it's like a computer game. If you want that, go play Diablo, go pay, 100 other video games where you can just hack your way, build your character, make them have, 60 different abilities and just wrap it up, wrap it up, wrap it up. But to me,
I think a good part of that actually comes from novels. If you think about it, there are a lot of fantasy novels where it's about the one guy. You know what I mean?
correct.
And he's got to, or learns to, or develops. Not footsie ball. That one character in the story kind of has to be pretty much uh, the Swiss Army knife.
Yeah. But even in those, even if you look like a Valric from Elabon, he still has to have others that are with him.
Mhm.
If you look at the books, a lot of times he has other companions and he has other people with him. He can be kind of the be all end all, but still
Right.
he.
It's funny you mentioned that. I was going through the Dungeon Master's Guide a while ago because we were reviewing that book. He literally was an assassin, a cleric, a magic user, an illusionist, a priest. He had
Yeah.
all four food groups, at least one profession in all of them. So if you added up his levels, he was like a 100th level character. It's just
But I would,
crazy.
but what I would say though, he had fighting ability. He had spell casting. I think his spell casting ability and the items he had, obviously Stormbringer,
Mhm.
but some of the other, he did have a couple other magical items.
Mhm.
I think that's more than anything helped him. And he had certain other things. Like I can see how you could build an Elric in our Arduin Bloody Arduin system, and you don't need 5 classes to do it.
Mhm.
There are ways to do it even without a skill-based system. So I agree with you, Shadow. But then, even with a novelesque type of hero where it's a one person, you're still going to need those companions. You're still going to need some
Mhm.
people at some times. You can make it. Now, granted, Elric had Stormbringer. That's a big factor to help him having a
You
sword.
hand that to
You know,
anybody, and the world's their freaking oyster. You know what I
Some
mean?
good
yeah,
drugs too.
yeah, you know. So there's a big difference. But really, when it comes to the core of the game, you will have more fun having a group of players with you than if you're by yourself,
Right.
unless it's more of a video game type of thing or if it's situational. You will still have more fun with friends or more people around the table. And I know today's day and age is a VTT and online, just like we're doing now, with the live stream. But to tell you the truth, nothing beats in person games when it's possible. That's still the heart of it. But I get, you got to do VTT. But like everyone's saying, it's doable. Like Dave, I know, put there, sure, you can do a one on one game, but you know what? You're going to have a lot more fun when you have 3, 4 people. Everyone is your
Absolutely,
own
absolutely.
because
Uh,
he brings in the joy that somebody does something and causes a situation in its whole series of events.
and without that, you suddenly become enveloped in the most impenetrable plot armor of all time.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's difficult. It's tough
I'm
because
the only player. We're gonna keep playing, or are you gonna kill me?
Yeah, you're gonna
You
have
know, I
crits.
hate to be
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
brutal about it, but it'd be like, oh yeah, I'm going to kill you, but
Yeah,
that's me. You know, you just have to make up a new character, or maybe it's your turn to DM, and then you'll kill me.
yeah,
Uh, for me personally, yeah, I've run one-on-one sessions, but you got to bring more people into it, or it becomes less of an actual game in some respects, because there can be only one. No, because you know what I mean. You can't really lose. You can only die, and um, if your DM is just throwing you down the freaking most horrific, just you know tortured existence, I think you're gonna just like walk away from that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It becomes something weird, and we
Right.
don't do that here.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. And shout out to Fernando. Yeah, the Ring of Kings, where he could summon a
yeah,
lot of the elemental gods, quote unquote, the elemental beings. So Elric had a lot of help. It wasn't just a class, but I
yeah,
like Shadow.
and he, I've got the Elric RPG from Chaosium. I'll never play it. I literally will never play it. I'll probably never even read it. I read the books, and I'm
Yeah,
like, I now know how it's gonna end, and yeah, I did once, twice reading it, maybe three times reading the whole story, and then I'm like, yeah,
I
well, some endings are like that. It's like once you read the ending, you have to go like literally. It's been like 20 plus years since I last read it, and I recently read the first book with Justin and my friends in the book club. I'll never read after this. I will never read it again. There's no point. You know what I mean? Unless I get Alzheimer's and I stumble across my own book collection. It's like, oh, this looks interesting. I can't hide that anymore. Um, it's just like, yeah, it doesn't end well. It doesn't. It's cool the first time. It's almost even devastating the first time, but after that, you're like, it's like getting in your first fight, getting your ass kicked. You know what I mean? It's like I
yeah,
don't want to do that again. I know what it's like. I've been there. I took my licking, and I'm still alive. I don't want that to ever happen again.
yeah. So
And
I no, it's like I said,
I thought it
you
ended just fine.
yeah. But like I
well,
said, you could do you could do that. I mean, I could see, I can envision trying to do like an Elric type character,
mhm.
like in Arduin, and running a game of
Well,
that.
I'm running him. His name's Orion,
Yeah,
or Zan.
or
Your
Zan,
choice.
or yeah, look at our internal play test with some of the characters and some of the things, and you can have fun. You know,
Hmm.
maybe I maybe I should throw Stormbringer into the game and see what happens. And see how
You
that
know
goes
what'll
with the
happen?
community.
It'll be me and Fernando killing everybody, and then arm wrestling for it at the end, right, Fernando? And since you're a fighter and I'm a magic abuser, I'm probably going to get dead. So
Yeah, no, it's but it like I said, it's interesting with all the things about the way modern gaming is, and again, we're trying to do, and I've said this before, is take that uh, middle row with things. So you have your classes and stuff, but they're not overboard with feats or all the abilities of every class. And half our classes do not have spells. I really don't like that in modern gaming, where thieves and every other class, even a fighter, has spells. I don't get that. That makes
I was okay with the paladin and ranger at high levels, and the thief
Yeah.
being able to do the scrolls because that's just the way it was.
yeah,
But agreed lately, um, it's literally it's more of that DEI nonsense where everybody's got to be able to do the same thing as everybody else, and eventually there's going to be that game that comes out where everybody is close to being the same as everybody else.
well, isn't that kind of what they did or are doing with D&D now with the new release. I thought.
Some aspects of it, but they're not. They haven't. You're still gonna have your own look. Well, I look like this and I look like that. Okay, yeah, but everybody being able to do everything else, it's not quite there. But
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm happy to say we're doing it our way, which in Arduin races, I'm just going to say it, are not equal. And I'm sorry, your elf is going to be way the hell better than the goblin for the most part. The goblin might have a couple things that differentiate, that have an advantage possibly over the elf, but generally speaking, the elf is just better, so to speak. And
right,
that's normal. It is what it is.
shh, Justin, it's a secret. I'm still under a NDA, so shh. No. But here's the thing, the elf may be better than the goblin, but maybe you've never played a goblin before, or maybe you don't care. Maybe
Right.
you've got the certain kind of fortitude where it's like, I don't need to be the best. I'm playing with a bunch of newbies who've never played before, and
Well, he
I'm just
brings
going
a
to play
different
something.
challenge.
Right.
Well, the goblin has some interesting things on his own that the elf doesn't. So, like both of you said, it's new. It's a different challenge, like Dave said. Like you said, Shadow. It's just you don't want to always play quote unquote the best, and it's a different aspect and it's a different way to play. And
Uh,
so that's available in the game.
so what Fernando is basically saying, 5E is backstory, the role playing game.
Yeah, yeah.
I wrote a better backstory, so I'm more powerful.
Yeah. A lot of
Whoa.
that, see, a lot of that stuff, I think the problem is people spend so much time on backgrounds and backstory. It's like, how is your character just starting out if he has 5 pages of things that he's done and all this other stuff? It gets a little ridiculous to me. How
Well,
about,
I think I figured it out sitting here. It's the last time the players are in complete control of the game.
correct, but they have the control when they start the game. They can control their path and for their character, and that's when you start your story and continue your story, is that first game session when you start to play. Make your own history, make your own story. If you want to do something cool, keep like a journal of your character and the adventures and what's happening with the party. That to me would be cool. You can have a little bit of a backstory, but to me, it's kind of sad that, let's say you have a 5-page backstory, and in the first game, especially in Arduin, you take some big licks and that one crit nails you, and you're done. Oh, there goes that character. On to the next.
Hey, I'm okay with backstory. I'm just getting tired of movies coming out and, hey, here's a movie, and well, we're going to go back in time and do the prequel now. What the hell is that? You already know what happens.
Yeah.
You already know where they're going, like Star Wars or any of that stuff. Like
That could be the case there, Justin, especially in newer circles. Either way, and you know this, Justin, from being in my games. Sometimes the story should we've all been through situations that were beyond our control, and even to this day we still have that and should have that, and being able to go with the flow, so to speak, or ride it out at least, makes for a more interesting story than those stories where everything goes your way.
Yeah, see, I see what Justin is saying. Okay, the players have any decisions, correct? Because during character creation, you're making a lot of decisions, so to speak, other than some roles obviously in there too. But when you're in a campaign, you're making a lot of tactical decisions, some strategic decisions also. And as your character moves up, you're also making other decisions that directly impact your character and the vision or the direction he or she wants to go in. So I think there's a lot of choice for players. And again, it depends on the GM and the style of campaign. You know, so that's, to me, a lot of decisions are available. So,
Justin just flipping me shit all evening
oh,
long. I
Jesus.
appreciate it.
But again, it all goes to the style and how the players feel, how they want to play in the GM. You can do whatever you want with it. Not saying any way is the right or wrong way. So,
Oh no, there's definitely a wrong way.
well, some of the modern gaming, to tell you the truth, to me is the wrong way because it's completely, again, it gets ridiculous. It's fantasy superheroes is what happens. And if you want to play superheroes, play a superhero game. That's great. You can have all the fun you want. You can be the Justice League or the X-Men or, the Avengers, whatever you want. There you go.
Well, I did kind of get that a feeling though, from back in the day, with some of the things I read with Arduin. It did kind of seem like, oh my gosh, this has been open the whole time. That a lot of David's groups kind of got that feeling about themselves, is that they'd been through so much together that they were kind of like a superhero team. So I could kind of understand where folks might get that idea, but you can't start out that way. You've
No.
got to earn it.
No. And
You
again,
literally have to earn the
Right.
right to try and have all that swagger. If you don't you know put in the time trying to save the world, you're not really a superhero yet.
yeah. And again, it goes back to what we first were talking about before, being a team. And yeah, it doesn't mean you aren't powerful. Nothing says in the game you can't get powerful. Not at all.
Yeah, I figured that as well, Justin.
Yeah, you can get powerful. You really can get powerful. But there's always, again, a balance there, where it's always, you're going to need something from somebody. You're not going to be the be all end all every time. And I see what you're saying, Justin. Again, it's the style of game master. You're absolutely right. Some game masters they're not going to have a open world. They're going to have the direction they want to put you in.
Yeah, it's not just a railroad, but every step of the way has been plotted out. And I've been in a couple of those recently. And any good player or GM worth of salt is going to spot it a mile away. As soon as you try to do something that's not on the itinerary, what do you mean I can't do that? There's never a reason why you can't, just because people have
Well, you want to
decided
do more than
they're-
adventure. You want to change something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, somebody might have visions to do something where, like Dave said, Northern Combat.
Travel.
I want to create a new guild, take over a guild. I want to, something, just create something, or, have some type of direction or meaning.
Retire the character out infamously for having done something, or
Correct.
having become some major
Yeah,
political force.
you want to split up the party? No problem. Let's split up the party.
Yeah. There's different things that you want to do and can do, and sure, you should have some leeway. I mean, I can understand, to put characters in a party in a certain direction, sometimes, but then give them the ability, if they want to change direction or do something different, why not? Give them that ability to have, some decision making on what I want to kind of do. Again, it's all a balance. It's a balance of everything. the best games give you a little bit of everything. They don't go too extreme on any direction. There's a bit going for the game master, but enough wiggle room where the characters can do what they want. Or if the characters decide to go in a direction, the GM can kind of fit some stuff in there, to go in the direction the characters are going. So
I wish I knew it was so windy before I came down here. Wow.
yeah, you guys
So
got
hey, guys, now that the Kickstarter is damn near in everybody's hands, what's next?
we've been having a lot of discussions about that, Shadow. So it's like, what's
Come for
next?
more maps.
I told you not to bring up maps before, Shadow, because that's all I'm hearing now is maps, 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 and I'm like, we just did maps. So, like I said, we have more maps that we do have in the till going on. As far as the future, long term, it's going to be the core books.
Right.
The Arduin, Bloody Arduin. We are painstaking building it, and it is tough because we want to come out, we want to get it out there yet. We got to put in the work and the time to do it right. So it does get frustrating because you see all these other people that come out with systems, and it's like, we want to get Arduin, Bloody Arduin out there, but we need to do it right. We need to make sure everything works cohesively and that it's a good product. That's the main thing, that we put a quality product that will honor, what's been done before for Dave Hargrave and what he envisioned, and this will be what the company's core product will be, which will be Arduin, Bloody Arduin. So to that effect, we're looking at that late 2025 is our hope for the Arduin, Bloody Arduin, which would be the core books, which would be the Kickstarter. Before then, we've got some ideas brewing. Yeah, there you go, Fernando. Maps of the 21 Planes of Hell. One of the Gazetteers we've already talked about doing something like that. A hell ride trip into the hells.
Technically, there's 22 if you look at the modules that he never
Dave
published.
Hargrave had a 22nd plane of hell that Dave found in one of the modules. So when we look at
I got to ask, sorry to interrupt, but
sure, no good.
Where do I get to do the rewrite of the Plane of Shadow? Is that one of the hells? Because I'm okay with that. Just saying.
Absolutely. Now we're going to Shadow when the time comes, as you know. We're going to tap into our internal group to do some of the different areas. We'll talk to everybody, see what they would like to do, give them the maps, the information we have, and expound it upon there.
Because I got to tell you guys, 2025, late 2025. That's potentially a year and a half away. And
yes.
I haven't even. Well, I mean, I did get the sneak preview of the Kickstarter, but I'm already jonesing for the next fix. So
we are looking at a couple ideas. We seriously are. I'm trying to hold Dave off with more maps. All right, we're going to try to avoid that for the next go around. But we're looking at a couple different ideas where possibly we hit another Kickstarter, next year at some point. Obviously way before late next year. But we're not exactly sure what that'll be. But we're looking at possibly another venture into Kickstarter for new Arduin product. We're not sure. Again, we have about 3-4 different ideas brewing, products that are possible, but we're looking at something, Shadow. We just don't know what that'll entail.
Well,
I mean, we have. I'll just put this little tidbit out there. We have a lot of new miniatures that we're looking at, but we're not sure. That's a possibility. So I'll just kind of float that out there. It depends where we're at with the miniatures and the molds. That's a possibility. But if we do that, that is a gear up to be there. There's possibility of a book product, that's possible.
Mhm.
And dare I say it, Dave and his maps, yes, that's
Because
possible.
Dave, I've got a word for you that I'm sure has been rolling around in your head. Tasmande.
It is.
Just
I
saying,
can say
because
it's not. It's been
we've
the
got
topic of many a discussion.
Ugh. Yes, yeah,
uh,
Shadow, you had to say the next worst word. So you said map and then you said Talisman, the capital city of Arduin. You
mhm.
had to say it.
I did. It's in my contract.
Yeah.
Uh,
It
you
had
know,
nothing
uh,
to do with that contract.
Yeah.
well,
It's a logistical nightmare right now is going
Yeah,
over it because of the
mhm,
sheer size of it.
correct. There's a lot of factors that are going into this, just to let everybody know. Even if you're to do and say, oh, we're gonna do Talisman, the capital city of Arduin, there's a lot of thought and planning because how you design it, how it's structured, how you make it, how big it is affects everything from
mhm,
the population of Arduin, how's the political structure, how does it feed into all the other canon for Arduin when Arduin comes out itself, the gazetteer for Arduin. So there's a lot of pre-plan and how, like you said, Shadow, how does it fit into our engine? Which I mean, that's a little more the whole role play, the core engine that
mhm.
it goes into. So there's a lot of factors in the design that we have to do with Talisman. And doing Talisman is not just Talisman. There's a couple other major things that would be attached to Talisman if we do it. So it's just not the city itself, it's other things too that would go on it. But that is a possibility. And I see, yep, Craig Kell, I see there the Grimcom, yeah, the elimination dungeons, some of the old stuff we have. We've looked at that too. We even had a project going where we were redoing the four original published modules, retyping them, resetting them, relaying them out. The thing we're finding is it's just as much work as doing a module for the new system. So again, it's that give and take. Do you do something that's going to require X amount of work, time, and money? Or is it something with a new product that you come out with something that's new that fits into the new engine and the new Arduin? So it's always a balance. And we're not against doing some things like that. Don't get me wrong. But there's a lot of factors into that um, thing, to go into whatever we decide to do, you know.
I would recommend sometime after you wrap this one up, maybe doing a poll over on the Discord or Facebook, even better yet, and see what the players, they're the customers. What are they literally jonesing for the most?
Yeah,
Is it miniatures? Is it a book? Is it a module? Is it a shower curtain? There's so many directions you can go. You could even get some of the people out there start writing actual novels. Really whet the players' appetites and go with like a series of books or a trilogy or some individual novels, novelettes, that sort of thing, or even short stories.
absolutely. And that has been brought up too, Shadow. I mean, really good ideas.
Mhm. Because in a perfect world you'd be able to do them all at once and they'd all sell like hotcakes, but um,
Correct. I see your comment, Justin. No, that we appreciate the ideas. Yeah,
because
Vampusa shower curtain.
if you remember back in the heyday, in the
Yeah,
80s
put that on a
of
shower curtain. That'd be cool, huh?
yeah, until you come home drunk. Yeah, like Thieves World. That's exactly what I was thinking because, believe it or not, one of my viewers heard that I was looking for it, and they're actually sending me the box set, which it just blew my mind. I kind of wanted to save that for later. But Thieves World or Lankmar, it had it all. It had the big city map, all the characters, all the descriptions of the locations and things like that. Um, Back in the heyday for D&D, when it got to a certain point, they were able to put out all of those different things at once. They had novels, they had miniatures, they had T-shirts, they had
Correct.
everything all at once. It was like the Planet of the Apes when that came out. The marketing department just said, put an ape on everything. You know what I mean? Literally,
Yeah.
and there it was. You couldn't go into a Kmart or whatever your local department store was and not see Planet of the Apes on everything and everywhere in every department. I'm certain there were Planet of the Apes toasters. Just whatever.
George has the
Believe it or
Planet of
not,
the Apes garbage can.
I have a garbage can for Planet of the Apes over in the next room. I've had it forever. It's unbelievable. It's like, wow.
So the
Yeah, Fernando. Yeah, I was
so the
kind of
problem
saying
is like Thieves World and Waterdeep and
Lankmar.
George's Guild and yeah, they're small cities compared to Talisman.
Well, Lankmar was pretty big. I've got the original. It's a nice like 4-page map. That's pretty decent. You could go 6 or 8. Like 2x4 or 3x3.
Yeah, there,
I had the
George.
lunchbox. Um, you know, uh,
We've been floating
yeah.
from one map to anywhere's up. Let's just say.
or do it in districts. To where you have the whole wall is covered with just maps of the city. I can see that.
We've had a lot of discussion, and
We
been
already have 2 cities drawn out that we're
Right.
going to work in the Talisman. One is with a 600,000 population, and one is with half that. Actually, less than half that, and they're still enormous.
Yeah,
They're so big, like most people don't have a table that big to roll it out onto.
Right.
Believe it or not, Shadow, like the city state of the Invincible Overlord, and I think there was the city state of the World Emperor. Those cities aren't as big as you think. They were like about 80,000 people. They weren't
Right.
that big. Lankmark, believe it or not, was about 20,000. That's it. They were not big cities. And we looked at the Lankmar stuff too, and all the Judges Guild and Waterdeep too. So we've been, believe it or not, looking at that for Talisman, So we've been looking at that, kind of discussing, but it's hard because again, what's the style? How are we going to do it? What's the population? How do the districts look and so forth? There's a lot again planning, and again, do we do that? Is that the next thing we do? That's a big if, So
I want an Arduin lunchbox, but I want to go back to this thing Justin said. Novels might be one of the easiest things you guys can put out with and leave your 2 sets of hands completely free for all the other stuff. If you think about it, you pick the right people to write a story, give it to you chapter by chapter, you approve it, make some changes, and you can put those out, and that will at the very least keep your customer base occupied for however long it takes to read the novel.
it's funny you should say that because I haven't even talked to Dave about this, but there was some concepts I had for kind of a novel or a book about Arduin, which would again kind of take you from the beginning, like back to the Elf Human Wars to the beginning stages of Arduin and go from there, almost a history book, but it's a novel. It has the characters, it talks about different things, but you'd have to have the right person to do that. We actually do. Again, that's a little bit on the table, not lately because we've been focusing in on things. But that's
obviously.
correct. The novel series is a big thing because it draws you into the world. It draws you into every aspect.
And not only that, but it's something, or you would think at least, in this hobby that just about anybody, and not just people in the hobby, but your average, just fantasy fan, could pick it up and not even realize that it's a game thing. It's just a
Correct.
novel. Okay, cool. You know,
Correct.
uh, getting it out there, and then next thing you know, you've got, because like back in the day, me and my friends, while we were gamers, there were certain novel series we would, we'd pass. Okay, I read book one. Okay, I'm handing it to you, and when you're done, you give it to him, and when you're done, you give it
Yeah.
to her. And you share the book until everybody's read it. And then the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and then we would spend hours and hours and hours just talking about this novel series or
Right.
another, and some of those never made it into gaming, or if they did, it was much later. I don't think the Rift Wars saga ever became a game, but my friends and I, we passed those books around by Raymond E. Feast uh, for years.
Hmm. Yeah. No, not novels are a big thing, or stories. That's something else. That's a whole nother aspect of this, which would be really cool, to do. So that would be excellent, way to do it. You know. Yeah. No, I see what you're saying, Justin. I did like the old Gary Gygax novels, like the Greyhawk Adventures,
Or
where
the Gord novels,
yeah,
or
exactly. Those are entertaining. You keep something like that.
and if they're done right, you don't even have to. I mean, you could easily swap. Especially now, you could swap out words. So you could literally take like the equivalent of a Conan novel and just change all the locations, and it could be an Arduin story. You know what I mean? You could make it to where it's not as political, or or literally have any effect on the world around it. Because it's the story of these two or three or four characters doing their shenanigans, and in the long run, it nobody knows that it happened except the people in a couple of villages or towns, and it won't screw up your world in any way.
Yeah. Correct. Correct. No, it's a very good idea. To have novels and stories. Again, it's just there's so much that we're trying to do. We've talked about it before. We've been, bit by bit working on a documentary video series, for Dave A. Hargrave and Arduin and so forth. That's a whole other project that's going on behind the scenes. And again, Griff Morgan's been doing a great job helping us by putting that together, doing the interviews. So
That's
it's
going to be a big help as well
yeah,
when that documentary hits and people realize that TSR, aka D&D, wasn't the only game in town,
correct.
and
Correct.
and especially with Arduin, with how much it influenced everything after the white box.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely.
Even
Like,
even stuff in the some of the expansions, Eldritch Wizardry, things like that. You can see some of the uh, some of the influence that Hargrave put out there for everybody in the industry.
oh, absolutely. We've talked about it so many times, Shadow, that the influence he's had on all of the industry and even into modern gaming. You can see it right there in the books. You see it transcend right from 1977 on, and all the new concepts, the mana, the criticals, the fumbles, the way he did with races, allowing you to play a mixture of all different races and so forth. How he did things was unique. So, no,
And it's funny too because in a lot of ways, not to throw any shade on Dave, um, so much of what he did was his influences are easily traceable,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
from the classic literature,
Correct.
and maybe maybe some comic books here and there, but between Elric and Grey Mouser and Fafford and so many of the other great novels of the time, you can easily Dying Earth, the
Yeah.
Geodanth. That's picked up right from there, and boom. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You can't deny it. That's what that is, and it'll always be a part of Arduin,
Correct.
almost more than it was a part of the Dying Earth.
Yeah. And Dave was and Justin, thank you. Yeah, we have a couple people already that we've known for a bit, but that's always a good way to try
Well,
to.
Justin's always looking for a job, so
Yeah,
just saying.
no, that's good. But you're right. Dave was the great mad scientist when he came to things he knew and stuff from literature. You look at his creatures, the way he put things together. He'd take bits and pieces of things and he'd Frankenstein them together, and they'd be awesome. You
Hmm.
know, I mean, it was just unbelievable what he did. And yeah, Kai Krell, yep, absolutely. He was the first to do monster and artifact cards. I don't know of anybody who did them like
Nope.
he did
And,
right
and
from
it
the
was
beginning.
it was so just one of those duh moments. Duh. Of course,
Yeah,
I need to make these cards.
yeah,
It was so obvious. He probably, hell no, I'm too lazy. Shut up. You're a fine writer. Um, I guarantee it was like, okay, I got this index card and I need to write the magic item for my friend. Oh, while I'm at it, I'll just flip it over and sketch out a little picture of a sword. What do you? Oh, hey, wait a minute! I got a great idea. It was like
Hmm.
yeah.
such a
It's
no-brainer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a complete no-brainer. So there were a lot of unique, cool ideas that sprung from Arduin. It's as simple as that.
Hmm.
Arduin, again, I've said it before, wellspring for a lot of things in the gaming industry, right into modern gaming.
You
So
know, David was literally like the H.P. Lovecraft of the game world.
Mhm.
You
he
know,
did,
he literally was. He was connected to all these great people and did all these great things, and then left us way too early to see what became of it all.
yeah, it's a really unfortunate with the amount of material that we have that he did in his short amount of time is unbelievable. I can't imagine what he would have done if he would have been around another 30 years, how much more material we would have had 30, 40 years. That would have been crazy. But we're going to do our best to put everything together we can, Shadow, and present it in the fashion he wanted. Again, Arduin Bloody Arduin is the magnus opus of what Dave Hargrave wanted. Complete Arduin was what he was working on, and then Mark Shinar finished it after Dave Hargrave passed. But that wasn't his final because he wanted to do something else. He wanted to go another step to
Yeah,
something.
yeah, because uh, I've got all the books, and not all the books are playable. Just saying.
No, no, because he'd come up with concepts and ideas and he'd put them in there, and some of them would contradict. That's
Hmm.
part of the problem that we are grinding through the new system is we're using a lot of the old material as the basis and we're going through it and there's contradictions and we have to make decisions and there's
Hmm.
certain things that truthfully are going to be left behind because they don't fit in with everything else, but the
Hmm.
main concepts and the main items are going to be directly ported in. We're trying to do our best to keep the best elements and the parts we can. It'll definitely be Arduin when it's all said and done at the end. But there's certain things we just can't bring along. It just doesn't fit. And like you said, Shadow, you read one of his books at the beginning, and then you get close to number 7 or 8. There's things
Hmm.
completely different than
Yeah,
what.
well, even from 1 to 3.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I'm not going to mention a specific rule, but it changed everything,
Yes.
and I guarantee it turned a lot of people off. You know what I'm talking about,
Yep.
and uh, it was actually my my 14-year-old brain couldn't wrap my head around it. But my 57-year-old brain's like, duh,
Yeah,
it's so obvious.
yeah.
Um,
And it's things like that that we're directly porting into the new game. It's like that's
but I was actually mostly referring to, which one is it? Not the complete Arduin, although that one's kind of a hot mess. What's
there's
oh
Arduin,
Arduin Eternal?
Arduin Eternal. Yep, that's another one. Yeah, it just they just didn't do it, and we need to go where Dave was with Arduin Adventure and the original Grimoires in 1 through 9, and he had a concept to go beyond that, beyond complete Arduin, and that's what we're doing. And we're based on everything we know, everything we could find. I mean, there's a lot, and I want people to understand this. There's a lot that Dave had in his modules. And modules being all the dungeons, all the stuff we have here that Dave had unpublished. There's lots of little nuggets and pieces and paragraphs even of information that Dave had that gives us insight. We're lucky enough that we even have some audio of Dave Hargraves speaking.
No way.
We do speaking with
I gotta ask, 8-track or cassette?
yeah, well, they were cassettes. And Dave Hargrave talks about certain game mechanics that he used in Arduino and why he did the things he did. And I wish to God we had more than that. We had more, but there's tidbits where he explains how he did the critical charts, why he did certain armor types the way he did. And it's masterful when you hear his reasonings. And I'll tell you, we have directly taken that into the new game. So some people are going to look at some stuff and think, oh, you guys just decided to come up with this. And it's like, no. That's Dave Hargrave. Now, maybe we've had to add a couple things or adjust a few things, but it's Dave
dots.
Hargrave. It come the core of it from Dave Hargrave. So this system, as you know, Shadow, what we're doing, it's going to have some new features, some new things. Certain things are going to be dropped. I've talked about this before. He had the 12 numbers for all the armor class weapons versus armor class -1, +2. All that's been dropped. That's just not going to come in.
No, especially in today's environment with the ascending armor class. It just makes a million times more sense. And
and I know the old school players like the armor class, the 10 to -10. I'm sorry, we're just going to go with ascending army class. It just makes sense. It's easier for the GM. I can look at AC, know it's 14. So I know in my head you need a 14 to hit. That is an improvement. It is an improvement. And I know THACO is out there. I get it. I get all that. But the ascending armor class is easy. It's easy. Most modern players and players that play know it, so it's easily convertible. Convertible in that if I see an AC of 16, I know what that means immediately. There's no.
It is kind of funny when you think about it, how intuitive compared to the weird ass descending armor class that Gygax and Arneson came up with. It's so.
Well, I
can't even imagine coming up with a system like that.
Well,
you know what I mean? Versus,
I think because Shadow back then there was more of a war game mentality, and that type of armor class, just like the levels, are charts. Like your level is based on a chart. The combat charts really based on your level and the die. You have your up and down. So the armor class fit into that. That this AC, this level of a fighter, a level 3 fighter against this, and it just made sense in their mind that okay, negative beam meaning it's more difficult to hit. In their mind. So I think it's because of the chart-based mentality, which there's nothing wrong with charts. Charts are cool. But I think that fed into it. But it feeds into it because your level is a chart based for saving throws to hit, for a lot of different factors, what abilities you get as you go up levels. So when you take that aspect out, it makes more sense to have ascending armor class because it fits into a system where you get bonuses to hit. It's level based, but
Hello,
it,
Dungeon Minister.
huh?
Dungeon Minister joined the party.
Howdy.
Let's go.
Hello.
He's a great guy. I don't know if you guys are subbed to his channel, but if if you're not, you need to go check out his channel. He's a great YouTuber from Canada, and it's good to see him in here.
Hey,
Yeah. So that's where I think it comes from, Shadow. And again, we all used it. We thought it was great, but and
You know,
again,
it did have that kind of almost like
yeah,
nerdy sort of uh, uh, almost like alchemical thinking. You know, some sort of
yeah.
higher math. It just like, but at the same time, it was really really dumb. I'm just gonna say that you know, trying to explain it uh, to people back in the day, it was really one of
Well,
the hardest things to explain.
and there's other factors in the system too, because like you said, so you have a bonus to your armor. You have chainmail +2, which makes your armor class lower, where it's not intuitive. Where you would think if I have chainmail +2, it'd add to my armor class.
Mhm.
It's just much more intuitive. That's all
Mhm.
I'm saying, and I'm not trying to start an argument with people who like the old way. I
Oh,
get it.
I love AD&D. I'm still running it,
Yeah,
but
no, exactly.
it's just weird when you try to put your mind into the head headspace of
Correct.
Gygax and Arneson back then, because
It,
everybody says what you said earlier. It comes from the wargaming mentality, and I'm like, what war games? I want to know what those games were. I want to try one of those.
yeah,
What was Gygax playing? What was Arneson playing? Like 3 or 4 years before they played and created Dungeons and Dragons.
correct.
What was that game? Does that game have a name? Did it ever get printed, or did they just make crap up?
Yeah,
You
you
know what I mean?
never
Because
know.
I've been following war games and miniature games, and I've looked into little wars and things way before my time, and nobody can ever tell me what game was Gygax and Arneson playing before that? Is there, you know, um,
I, I'll tell you from my own experience before D&D that I got introduced to D&D, it was Tactics 2, Submarine, Wizard's Quest, all Avalon Hill games back in the day. I found those and was interested in playing those before I got introduced to D&D. So those were a lot of the games back in the day that
right? I even picked up a couple of those recently. Real quick, Dungeon Minister, we were talking about armor class ascending and descending, and also kind of the to hits and saving throw charts, but trying to just wrap our head around the -10 armor class versus it just being a 20.
yeah, absolutely. But
And
there,
folks are admiring Dungeon Minister's miniatures.
yeah, I
we
was looking at his website on the YouTube channel, and there, the mini at the top and the logo in between the dice, I think, is one we produced a long time ago
really
Really?
from the old Grenadier line. I don't know if I could put a picture in there. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, just say
There it is.
share your screen and add it,
it
and
was it
I'll
from
bring
the
it up.
Guthrie line, Dave.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, okay, that's cool. That is really cool.
yeah. We were making that in those early 2000s.
Yeah,
Well, Dungeon Minister, if you really are a big, big, big fan of the old Grenadier, and there's something you're looking for, let me know because I've got a ton of Grenadier that I'll never have the time for to paint and whatnot, and I'll be happy to send them to you. The thing I sent you was ridiculously cheaper than my wildest imagination. which was running wild when I went to the post office. So, if there's like that one or two, or let me know because I'll hook you up.
And Shadow, one thing, and I know we're getting on this conversation, but before I forget, my God, um, with the Kickstarter, I keep, I can't believe I almost forgot about this. We're still taking late pledges. You can still do a late pledge for this Kickstarter, and we've had a few people already contact us, and we're processing them. So just to let everybody know, you can still do a late pledge with all the stretch goals, the whole 9 yards. If you want to have some add-ons, we'll give you the discount. Just take a look at the Kickstarter page. We'll give you the books at the same discount. You have up to this Friday, the 16th, midnight, to put in a late pledge. And the way to do it is just email us at admin@mcho.com. And
Do
that's,
you want to put that in the chat there, and I'll post it?
yeah, put it in the chat, Dave, admin@mcho.com. So just take a look at the Kickstarter page and email us. Let us know what reward you want, any add-ons, and we'll honor that pledge. And we decided to do this because we're serious in that you're not going to see discounts or the amount of material you get for this price ever again. So you're getting a very hefty discount with the amount of product with the stretch goals you're getting from this Kickstarter. So please go ahead and check it out. But no, by Friday, by midnight, the 16th, this Friday, it stops. So we're done with the late pledges because obviously by that point we're just about at the point to start packaging. If we have everything in house we need, and to get going on the packaging and shipping for the Kickstarter. Yeah, the Dungeon Minister. Yeah, we were talking about that, and we were just saying, we all use the old way of descending armor class, but for our new Arduin, Bloody Arduin, it's going to use ascending armor class, and it just makes more intuitive sense, and it's easier for everybody, including the game master. I look at a monster or player, if it says AC 16, I immediately know that you need a 16 or more. So we felt it was an improvement, and it feeds into the modern gamer that it's a simple resolution. I had done a whole explanation before you got on about how I thought it was because of the chart based, the level based, because everything in old D&D is based on your level, the 2-hit charts, the saves, even what you get. So I think the armor class kind of fit into that, and the war game mentality, like we were talking. So. But yeah, so late pledges are still available, everybody, for the Kickstarter for a couple more days.
Mm-hmm. What do you guys think? Since we're talking a little bit about ascending armor class, stacking. Back in the day, certain magic items wouldn't work with others. You know what I mean? Like if you were wearing two rings of protection, only the greater one would work. Things like that. You couldn't wear certain things with metal armor and blah blah blah. Are you going to still adhere to some of that, or are you just going to make it like okay, your armor class is 32?
Well, I think we're in the middle of magic item design as we speak,
Mm-hmm.
and we're looking to go through that and see how we're going to determine that, because it is a double-edged sword. How do you keep things still in balance if you're going to allow? I mean, if you have +1 rings of protection, you could put 5 on your hand and get +5,
Sure.
to it. So there's a part of me that says you got to kind of balance that out too, with
Mm-hmm.
that. I mean, I don't think you're going to be finding that many rings.
Right, because
Don't work like that. Find, +1 this, +1 that, so readily. So we kind of have the idea our magic items are going to be a little bit more unique, um, so to speak. I'm not sure, Shadow, to tell you the truth, you know. So I'm not sure.
yeah, you're right. I forgot about that. Um,
I'm not sure. Are you able to get the?
No, he can't. He can't put it in the chat because it's got an email address. I'll just put it in. Let me write this down, and I'll put it in the description of the video.
Okay,
Uh,
yeah, and again, it's admin ADMIN at empcho.com. EMPCHO.com. So they just email us, take a look at the Kickstarter project on Kickstarter, see what reward you want and any add-ons, and we'll honor the whole reward. You'll get all the stretch goals which were hit, and any of the add-ons, any of the discounts, you get the full discount for any books or cards or whatever you want. So
Nice, Dungeon Minister. Nice.
but
You guys are gonna love his channel. You're absolutely gonna love his channel.
that's
Uh,
awesome.
I'm surprised you guys haven't come across his channel before.
No,
But
we'll make sure to sign up and subscribe. Absolutely.
well, Dave
Absolutely.
already did. He's a fellow Canadian of our friend Justin and Mr. Max and Bear the Gen X GM. Uh, it's amazing. I prior to YouTube, I couldn't name a single Canadian, famous or otherwise, and now I get to hang out with some of the coolest of them all. Uh,
That's
Now,
well,
you must have heard of Geddy Lee, right?
yeah, you know what?
I'm
He
not a
was.
Rush fan, but
I'm more of a Triumph fan. I bet you.
yeah, I like
Dungeon
Triumph.
Minister, bet you Dungeon Minister is as well. Um,
Rick
it's
Emmett
all
used to
good.
cross over here all the time and play
Yeah.
concerts
you know what? You're
just in
you're,
the
you're right.
summer.
I need to do that too. Justin's right. I need to make you guys admins because you practically have the key to the place. So
We
which I'm gonna have to sculpt now, I guess, out of freaking
and
Fimo or
Dave and
something.
I are very familiar with Canadians being here in Buffalo. We get a ton of Canadians come across the border or going up to Toronto. Toronto's only about 2.5 hours away, so it's
That
all the
means
time. We get
Not
we get
even
a lot of
a
Canadians
lot less.
across the border for Bills games all the time.
guys. When is CleriCon, Dungeon Minister? He holds a regular convention. You guys need to probably like pop in if it's not too far.
Okay, depends
Depends
where
on
in
where he is.
Canada.
Canada's pretty
Yeah,
big.
I know I've heard of these guys, but you know, have they heard of me? That's what really matters. Um, five rings
Right,
of plus
right.
one, sure. But if you had what about when you do have like that plus one and that plus three? You know, I personally, I would be okay with it. I would have absolutely no problem adding the pluses because I'm going to do the same thing for the monsters. You know what I mean? The trick is paying attention and keeping kind of track of what you've given away as a dungeon master. If you're giving out treasure, you should kind of know because if not, you'll be in like year 3 and someone just unscrupulous player writes a little something onto their character sheet. I've seen it happen, and I know you shouldn't play with those guys, but if you're like related to them by blood or something, you don't have a choice. What are you going to do? You kick them out of the game? No. Your mom will hit you with a freaking rolled up newspaper or something. Uh, yeah.
And Cree, we're going to take a look at that with the magic items. We're in the process of going through that, with the magic items. So, and like I said, Shadow, it's to be determined with that, but we are looking at the balance of things. And I can see where if you have that, only the +3 ring would work. So,
but you're reliable, Dungeon Minister. We know we can count on you. It's just yeah. I didn't think it stood for Grand Theft Auto, but thanks for clarifying that for me.
oh, so it's a Toronto convention?
Yeah, it's close.
Oh, wow. That's
Really
close.
close.
It's 2.5 hours away for us.
I'm just saying,
Less
guys,
than that.
everything
Closer.
happens for a reason.
Probably okay.
Welcome to my world. Everything happens for a reason. Now you guys have it's not a big gigantic convention, but it's a bunch of good folks, a bunch of YouTubers, and then you can go and berate Justin in person. Even though I know he won't go because it's going to be on holy ground and he's afraid of catching on fire. Hey, Squirrel, where you been, brother?
Howdy.
Oh, so Justin is near Toronto. Hello.
I'm not sure if he's near it, but he just won't go. It's not because he'll catch on fire. It's because he never leaves his house.
Ah. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, it's 2.5 hours, Dave, isn't it? Or is it only a
No,
couple
it's
hours?
less than 2.
Is it? Why do I
Yeah.
always thought 2.5? Okay.
Yeah, you know what?
What is it? Queens Highway or whatever? Right? The Queensway Highway there?
QEW.
Or QEW.
Outside Toronto, Glen Williams, Ontario. Google Maps would show you where that is. What do you mean? I never leave my room. Yeah, Squirrel, where you been, man? How's it going? I was just telling Jackie about your job, and he was like, "Oh my god!" Like terrified and fascinated at the same time. And you're telling me about those temperatures and whatnot. I'm just like, I like the heat, but that's a whole new level of heat. Well, your home is your house, They're not being, overly pedantic.
Yeah, the border crossing depends. That's true. But no, that's like I said, that's not far at all.
Yeah, those guys are
Especially if
pricks.
you said it was outside of Toronto, that's probably a good thing. So it's not so bad trying to get into Toronto or get around. Oh, the middle of Toronto. Oh, wow. Cool. I think Dave, the dungeon minister, put the town there.
hmm
Cool. No, we'll have to check it out. Absolutely. I mean, why not? Heck, Dave and I have considered in Buffalo, because it doesn't make sense that we don't do this, is to have like an Arduin con in Buffalo. Because,
Oh, you're killing me, man.
well, we have an international airport. We have Niagara Falls. We're right next to Canada, Toronto. We're only 3 hours from Cleveland, right? 3 hours from Cleveland. I mean, Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, 6 hours.
hmm
I mean, we have a nice New York. We got all New York State. It's an 8 hour to New York City, but still, it's not bad at all. So it's pretty good. But
Well,
no,
I'm covering the West Coast for the duration. Um, hey, here you go, guys. You want a vendor's booth? It's yours.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Crossing there, man, I tell you. I have stories.
I mean, would it be a big deal to take a truckload of books into Canada? I don't know how that works.
It probably
yeah,
would.
it probably would. Canadian customs can get hairy, to say the
Oh,
least.
really?
Yeah, it depends.
He says booth. He means table.
All
It's
the same.
Yeah,
yeah.
we'll have to see where we're at, but we'll kind of touch base with you on that, Dungeon Minister. We'll have to touch base. We right now we're so into everything we're doing with Arduin that we've kind of foregone cons for a while. But let us take a look. Is it a weekend? Well, we can talk about it.
As a matter of fact, if you go to his channel, I believe you still have the videos up from last ClariCon. You can see, get an idea of the size and the feel of the place.
He does.
Okay. Okay, cool. No,
Do you have anything to declare? Just my weekend reading list.
Yeah, no, that is cool.
I'm turning back roads. That's our squirrel.
That's awesome. But
Yeah.
we'll have some dialogue and see where it's at. But again, as far as the next thing, like I said, still late pledges till Friday, and then we're knocking around some ideas of what's next. And again, though, our main focus is Arduin, Bloody Arduin, and we just have to keep going at it, keep going at it. Can't tell you
Well,
the amount of work into it.
well, after all the pledges are mailed away, right? Emperor's Choice is still going to have the books and the minis and all that stuff still available, for years and years to come. Right
Correct.
now in the store, the web store. That's how I met these guys, believe it or not. And there's all kinds of cool stuff. Even if you're not like a huge Arduin fan, if you're looking for some new monster miniatures or some stuff that you'll never see anywhere else, these guys have some great old school miniatures, and from what I hear, a bunch more on the way,
Yep.
as well as the other stuff.
Yeah. No, exactly. And like you said, a lot of our material right now, Shadow, is all old school.
Mhm.
You can even, again, if you're looking for stuff, the cards, we have all the cards for the dungeons or the generic set, the great cards and stuff. So for D&D and any type of D&D, it's
Dave,
perfect. So
that was funny because it's not really damage. I mean, you hit somebody with the rubber end, the worst you're going to get is a ooh, right?
you
Right.
guys are being ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
So, but no, there's a lot of cool. All of it will always be available. Shadow, all the original old material, and then the new books. Once we come out, the maps. Once we get situated, once the Kickstarters go out, Dave and I are going to reorganize the store a little bit for the new product. So we're going to try to look at that. We'll
You too, Fernando. I'm looking
Fernando.
forward to gaming with you again real soon. Have a great weekend, brother.
Have a good night.
Hey, have a good night, Fernando.
And Fernando, you're not going to miss much because we're about to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Because these guys are all the way on the other side of the country, and I know they're tomorrow's as we put it here, a school night, so which means they probably have to get up early and work and all that stuff.
Yeah.
They're
Absolutely.
gonna go use the hose. You too, squirrel. You too. Don't be such a stranger. Folks out there miss you, squirrel. Just saying. Not to get all mushy, but
Have a good night, Scroll. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you, everybody.
I don't know if he's jumping ship right now. And Justin's going to be back. I'm going to at least wait till Justin.
Yeah. No, we can. Oh, yeah. No, we can hang out for a few
But
more.
I know you guys do have to get going in a bit, but I'll
Yeah,
wait till
no, it's all good, Shadow. And like I said, we appreciate it. Any questions or anything? Like I said, we'll obviously be doing more live streams down the road as we get more into things and have.
Oh, you guys are going to be hanging out with Tenkar in the near future, right?
Yeah, at some point we'll have to get back with him. I know the last time was early July, so we'll have to talk to Eric and see the next time we can get on the show. And
Let me know. I won't miss that one either.
Yeah, Eric's always great, to have us on. That's always fun
Mm-hmm.
with that. But we'll be looking at with Dave and I will be going back, and Dave will say maps, and I'll say no, and then we'll decide on what the heck we're gonna do. Or I'm gonna break down and go, okay, fine. We'll
One more map, just one.
just one more map.
Oh,
would
because I mean, there's
agree.
also, there's also the mega dungeon map that is yet to be printed, and
Yeah, there's just so many directions, but again, it's what makes sense. And it's possible, Shadow, like you said, maybe that's something uh, we may put up as a poll to everybody to see.
yeah, I mean, if the world is itching for miniatures and you give them a novel, just saying, or vice
Yeah,
versa, or
yeah.
they want,
I,
they want the Arduin the card game,
yeah.
which
I
already
think
exists, but
I think the only thing we may do though is we're gonna wait till we get everything shipped,
oh,
get all
absolutely,
the product
absolutely,
in everybody's hands,
yeah,
see
yeah.
what get everybody's reactions, and then say, okay, everybody, what do you think? Give us some feedback.
Well, you got to do one other thing. I mean, you don't have to. I'm not your doctor. I just play one on TV, but you got to take a break. With the
Yeah,
Kickstarter, you guys, sign that last, invoice or what have you, the last stamp, and you're done. And everybody's got their stuff in the mail. Give yourself a break. Take a
yeah,
week off of something or whatever, and just recharge the batteries. Trust me, nothing like it.
That's
yeah,
what that one is behind me.
yeah.
That big giant one.
Yeah, it's a shower curtain.
Well, it's not a shower curtain. It's actually on cotton cloth, but
Yeah.
it. I don't know what they did. You can't really read it too well. Let's put it that way.
No, it's blurred. Yeah, I got the same thing up here. The one behind it, it's a bigger version on cloth. I don't know the parchment. Again, I still love the parchment above it
It could
all.
be just the sheer amount of detail. I don't know, or they
Yeah,
manipulated the file, or it's the fabric
It's
yeah,
probably the fabric.
process.
yeah. The fabric just,
Thank you.
I don't know, just gives it a certain
Thank you, Cal.
fuzziness.
Thank you very much. Hey, Cal, have you heard from Grandma? We're all worried about her. It's been about a
Yeah.
week or more since anybody's heard from her.
Thanks, Cal. We appreciate it. But yeah, definitely. If anybody's heard from RPG Grandma, that would be great to know.
We're waiting on Kale's response.
The 6x4 maps are tops. Yeah. That's what I figured, Justin. Cloth is just, because it's so porous and whatnot, and
Yeah,
there's no way to really grab onto it
Yeah.
and say just here it could bleed and
correct.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
are useless.
We really are.
We're a backdrop.
you know what? It still looks cool.
It's
You
not
know,
her back.
I mean, from a distance.
Yeah.
If you guys were doing a convention or something like that, I'd find a way to either use them as a table cover or something like that.
Yeah,
Just
correct.
something where it's just sort of peripheral. You're not focused on it. You're not trying to get up close. It's just in the background or under all the books that you've got stacked on the table.
Yeah,
Something like that.
yeah. It has its purpose, but
Yeah,
yeah,
it has a purpose. Yeah, for sure.
yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I'm gonna try to get a hold of her too. Absolutely.
Why
But
is it? Oh, because I'm doing it over here. That's why. Like I'm clicking a button, but it's on the wrong side of my
Huh.
built-in mouse pad. I'm like, why is it doing that?
yeah, but
It's because I'm doing it on the right side, not the left side. So, anything else before we say good night to everybody out there in TV land?
just again, I think we appreciate it all. Shadow, Thank you.
Anytime,
Yeah,
guys.
thank
Oh,
you.
we
Anytime.
really
Um,
appreciate everything, and all the people out there again, all the people who pledged, who shared and talked about the Kickstarter and about Arduin and everything. We always appreciate all of you, all the conversations we had. We saw some of the people in here tonight, that we've talked to, and again, I've discussed Arduin. It's just a great community, and we're just going to keep fighting, keep pushing, doing the best we can. We have people like Shadow involved, Fernando, and everybody else, and we're just going to try to make the best we can for everyone. We appreciate all the Justin and everybody, Dungeon Minister, everybody else. Hope I'm not forgetting Cal. Uh, it just it's just nice with everybody in the community and the support, and we're just going to keep going, and we're going to keep having those discussions, like what's next, what do we have to do, what makes sense, and how to make it better.
hey, Justin.
So
And of course, everybody out there, if you're not already subscribed to RPG
oh,
Grandma, Justin Thor, Dungeon Minister, who else do we have in here tonight? Squirrel Hermit, of course. Um, go and subscribe to all these great friends of ours, and let's see them all. Hey, Mike, just in time to rewatch later. Thanks for the comment earlier, Mike. I appreciate that. And Squirrel, you too, man. Give the wife a hug for us and say hi to the kids, etc. Um,
we really appreciate it. Thanks to everybody
Yeah,
tonight.
thank you.
Thanks all the meeting you new guys and everybody we've known. So but we do appreciate it, Shadow, completely and utterly.
all you got to do is ask, and I'll be there. Um,
Absolutely.
I'm gonna call it a night. Everybody out there in TV land, thanks again for playing along and sticking around. We will be back tomorrow. Justin and I are going to do a paint and chill stream, just goofing off. I need to actually pick up a paintbrush and do something more than just this. That's literally all I've done in the last 2 months because this one paintbrush just looks like crap until I do that, and then it decides to dry out and go. But we'll be back tomorrow. You guys have a great evening. George or Dave, if you want to stick around for a minute, uh, I'm gonna put an end to this craziness, and I will see you guys all tomorrow.